Welcome back to another episode of Let's Stay In.
I'm Anna, and this is Mark.
Now, before we get into today's episode, we got to give you that annoying reminder. Make sure you like, subscribe, download, comment. If there's a button, make sure you click it. Somehow, I think that helps us out.
With that being said, let's just jump right in. One thing, Mark, I think I've gotten a lot better at roasting since we've become closer.
Yeah. About fucking time, you know?
Well, I just think being around someone, when you're around somebody that's so easy to make fun of,
Oh, yeah?
you can't help but come up with gold content.
Yeah, okay, fair. About time.
You have to include that in the podcast.
Sure.
This isn't being cropped out. So this is a very special episode, day, whatever for me, because this is Samantha Bonbright. This is my best friend since we were 5 years old, Presswood Elementary School.
Yep.
Kindergarten class. And we have been through every single chapter of life together. We've
dressed up in leopard pajamas
We
at
have.
5 and performed Ain't No Mountain High Enough
Oh, that's
for
our
her parents.
song. Yes, we've done it all
80 times.
And so this is a very exciting thing for me. It's because, new venture, one of my other best friends with my other best friend, the two easiest people to make fun of in one room, and I get to have a conversation with them. So, Sam, let's just say we were at breakfast at the spot that we were at today. Someone comes up to you and they're like, who are you? What's your deal? Give me like your 30-second spiel.
My name's Sam. I live in Scottsdale. I'm a dental hygienist, a Pisces through and through.
Yeah.
A sweaty ass bitch, always hot.
Yeah.
Dying of heat right now.
What do you sleep
Yeah.
at? What's your sleep temperature?
62.
62.
It's glacial.
It's gotta be.
What's your AC
freezing.
bill in the summertime in Scottsdale?
A lot. It can get up to 5.
She's not paying it. She's not paying it. She's not looking at it.
I've looked.
It can get up to $500?
Yes.
Holy.
The AC's always pumping.
Always.
At work, I freeze everybody around me. If you're around me, I don't care. You're going to be cold.
That's
If
fair.
it
Or I'm
gets too
sweating.
hot, you will have a panic attack.
Yes.
That is definitely
Yes.
true. We were at in the dressing room today shopping.
I don't care
and
how much I like something. If
Gotta
that
go.
store's too hot, I'm out.
Yeah, that's
Get
fair.
me out of there.
Sweating's the worst. Sweating is the worst. Nobody enjoys it. Yeah.
She Botoxes her hands so that she can have a grip.
Yes.
What I don't
On
even
anything.
Know, I don't even know what that means. What is that? How does that help? What does that do? How does that involve sweating?
Oh, explain this to him. This is important. A lot of people have it.
Stops you from being able to sweat.
In your hands?
Yeah, it paralyzes the muscle that allows you to secrete sweat.
So you just
So I-
secrete. What a word.
I know.
Secrete's one of my favorites.
What?
Yeah. I love Secrete.
I think you're about to say I love.
No,
I don't think I love it.
You don't love it?
No.
But everybody, I remember when moist was a thing. Like when people were like, that was like a personality trait to hate the word moist. I'm
Yeah.
like, I kind of love it because I always
I
see
love
a good
to use
cake.
moist or steamy when I'm asking someone about their swamp ass.
So
Oh,
what
yeah.
you're saying is that by putting Botox in your hands, it stops you from
Secreting.
secreting moist and what was the other word you just used?
Steamy.
Steamy hands.
Yeah. Just solves the issue.
Can you get Botox in every?
People do
What
it.
is
Oh,
People
you
do
should
it in their armpits.
They do. We should get
My
in our
armpits
butt.
don't sweat.
They just don't. Not because of Botox.
Yeah,
just because.
they just don't.
So every other
Oddly.
area sweats, but
Just my hands.
Oh, just your hands.
No, your ass does.
Oh yeah. Well, doesn't
Yeah.
everyone's?
No. Does your ass sweat?
I don't
Anna
think-
and I've had this story
don't
before
think
where
my ass sweats.
ours does, and then we talk to people who just don't experience that.
Are we talking
and it
during a
blows my
workout?
mind.
Like in a
No,
workout, my ass will
right
sweat.
now.
No, my ass
you're
is not
dry.
It's
sweating.
not a little steamy.
No.
Not even a little bit of steam in there.
No.
That's so interesting. I mean,
No.
maybe male butts are different than female butts. Like when you were saying the meat sweats.
See, I don't
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that means.
Meat sweats is just if you have way too much protein and then your body's working overtime at night to kind of break down that protein, so
Yeah,
you're
I've
just
heard
sweating.
it.
But if
Never
you're
seen
sleeping at 62, you're not getting the meat sweats.
That's why I sleep at 62.
Yeah, that could be it. I did
Okay.
turn it down real low last night because I had a lot of meat. A lot of meat last night.
A lot of meat last night.
That's pause.
Let's not take that any farther.
Podcast cut. Okay, so should we cover it all? Our longest friendship, like how we've changed, how we're the same.
Actually,
Like,
wait.
is there
I feel like I
anything we
gotta
should
ask
cover?
Sam a question because,
Yeah.
she knows you better than anybody. What's how many years have you known Anna?
Oh. I don't really do math very
20
well, but I'm going to say 27
20,
years,
yeah.
28 years.
Okay. What's your most embarrassing Anna story?
Oh.
I don't know if I'm allowed to.
No, you can
tell
say we'll
them.
beep it out if.
Yeah,
it-
which one is
No,
it?
no, 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 no.
She's looking
no,
at
no,
it.
no, 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 no. Just say it, and then if it's too far, we'll cut it.
Oh, that's fair.
Just go straight into story time.
Like, do I have to? I was there for it.
Doesn't matter.
I don't think you have to have been there. There's
Yeah.
nothing that I've ever experienced in my life
Okay.
that you don't know about.
Okay.
So.
I mean, of course, you know where I'm going.
Yeah, which one?
Anna went on a date,
Oh, yeah.
and every girl has digestive issues. It's just a thing. So she went on a date, and she was at somebody's house, and the bathroom was connected to the kitchen. And I want to say there was a Super Bowl or something going.
We're
and
watching a
this
Raiders
was a
game.
tiny little house, and she's there, and there's another couple, and she feels like all of a sudden not well. So she goes to the bathroom, and there was a shutter door for the bathroom. Not even a door you can shut, just shutters.
Like I could kind of see through it. Like if you really like, I could see the game still while on the toilet. That's how close it was, type thing.
That's also you
And
never go on a second date.
It
with
was
somebody who's got
so bad.
shutters.
It was so bad. And then she thought like, okay, we're good. Hit with round 2. And you know when that happens where it's like an emergency and all of a sudden you're not rational. There's not a rational thought going through your head.
No.
She headed out the front door with no shoes, no car keys, no nothing.
I was gonna shit in my car.
Tried to find a container of sorts.
Ew. That was Anna who snorted. Anybody who's listening on Spotify, that was Anna who snorted.
And then had to try to double back into the house to go get her things and try to act like this was a normal situation to the guy she was dating.
Yeah. I pretended like I was having an allergic reaction to his friend's
But
vape.
they had all heard the bathroom earlier. So like he had
Wait,
an
you
idea
could-
of what was
you could-
going
it was
on.
that intense? You
Mark,
could hear
how
it?
could? Oh, okay. Well, we're missing some key facts. So I was constipated. I did a smooth move tea the night before. It hadn't hit. We went to sushi. The date was going so well. I had a crush on this guy for like over a year. And finally go on a date with him. Head back. Smooth move tea hits as I am sitting on the couch with him. So yes, I went to the bathroom and I tried to flush. I flushed 6 times when I was in there. I think that's clear
That'll
what was
give it
happening.
away
I think that
right
was
away.
clear. So then I get back on the couch and I'm sitting there and like it was one of those things where I was scared to sit up because then it would just like crunch everything. So I laid down on the couch with my legs spread.
I feel like that would scare me more.
I took over the entire sectional and the guys in the couple had to scrunch against the arm because I took over the entire. It would be like Mark. It'd be like me taking over this entire couch, then 3 people having to sit there. Okay. And he still tried to kiss me, and we went on another date afterwards.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I would think that
You
was.
know what? A lot of guys don't care about things
No.
A lot of guys
that
get
you
relieved.
think that you would be embarrassed about.
No. Because we're all way nastier. Like, we've all done nastier shit.
Wait,
So, like,
wait.
what?
Can I bring up that one story? Like
Oh.
you didn't care.
Wait, how are you looking at me? You've known
Okay.
me for 2 days.
No, I know, but
But-
I know everything about you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you forget that.
No, so like when I first got here this weekend, I wasn't feeling very well. And I'm, gonna go out with you guys. And then I remembered that you had gone on a date with someone who like quite literally planked to
Yeah.
keep things inside of her body.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we
after
told that
dinner.
story in the podcast.
And
yeah.
like you
Oh,
really
yeah.
didn't care at the end of the day. You really didn't care.
No.
No.
I mean, he
Guys just
never
don't
went on
care.
another date with her, but he didn't care.
Because I say this all the time. Like, I say this to guy friends. I'm like, if you don't know, like, the dirty, nasty stories about a chick, she's just not comfortable with you.
Yes.
So, like, to be fair, I look at it as, like, once I know the sick shit that she's done, then I'm like, okay, now I know I've like reached that part of your like trust circle. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like
Oh, I
whether
totally agree.
whether it's a dating situation, whether it's a friendship situation, anytime you know you're in like the trust tree for like, hey, here's my like disgusting, real shit stories. That's when you know you've reached a new level.
I totally agree.
And not everybody
I do
reaches
too.
that level.
No,
do
I
too.
totally agree. It's who you feel comfortable with. I said I love you for the first time to my now boyfriend after we both got food poisoning in Mexico, sharing one bathroom.
That's the
tough.
thing. That
in a
it's so
hut.
attractive to me when a guy can be like that too.
It made it funny.
Like when a
It- like-
guy's like, I got a shit.
Well, like they're not afraid to just be like, open about stuff like that. Like, you don't have
self-deprecating.
to act like you're like this like perfect polished guy.
When can he rip ass in front of you? What's the policy on that?
Oh yeah, time wise. Oh, you first date, but
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Nothing.
Sam's sick.
Yeah.
So you're telling me
Nothing bothers me.
You're telling me you're on a first date
At least
with a
if
guy.
I like you.
Yeah.
If I like you, you can get away with anything.
Okay, you're on a
it's so
first
messed
date.
up.
First
Just
date, it's going
anything.
well. You guys are walking back to his car, and he's just like lifts a leg.
No, I don't like that.
I don't no.
And he's like, "Damn, I was keeping that shit in." Like,
No, I would say like you're in a relationship at this
okay,
point.
okay. Well, you said first
You
date.
said first date.
Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah, you said you'd get away. Okay.
No,
so,
if I like you. So I mean, that's got to be past the first date.
Okay, so
Oh,
so
right?
date
I don't-
3.
I don't know
I don't know
how
this
that
anymore.
works.
What comes first, sex or he can fart in front of you?
sex.
What?
Don't.
I think one leads to the other. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It's the gateway drug.
Oh my god.
It's the gateway drug.
Are your patients going to listen to this?
No.
Do you call them patients or
Oh.
clients when you're a dental hygienist? I don't know how that works.
You know what? I've heard like multiple things. I don't know if you're supposed to call them patients, but I do.
Has anybody ever randomly farted when you've been? When
Oh,
you've
has
been
anyone farted in
cleaning
the
their
chair?
teeth?
Yes, old men.
They're stressed and they're
You
like,
know what though? Old men, they get a pass.
they can do anything. They can do anything.
Well,
I
not
love
anything.
them. I love them.
Sam is incredible at her job. Like my dad is one of the pickiest, he just doesn't like everybody. Okay. Like he just doesn't. And he has missed Sam so much because she used to be his dental hygienist for like a decade. And then you moved to Scottsdale and he will call me up and be like,
No one's
this
happy about
other chick cleaned my fucking teeth.
No
and
one
she's
is
no
happy about it.
Sam. She's great. She'll talk, tell everybody about the hyperfixation you had and your trauma dumping on that one patient about bears.
Wait, what?
Oh. So I went down a rabbit hole one night about bear attacks.
Okay.
And this was like my thing.
Not
My
too common
boyfriend
in
at the
Scottsdale?
time would like make a joke out of it. Like, oh, you're meeting Sam for the first time. She's going to tell you about how bears eat you.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So I went down this rabbit hole of bear attacks and I was talking to my patient and I don't even know how we got on this subject, but I just started like dumping all of this like gruesome information about bear attacks on him, just unaware. And he's silent. And I'm sitting there just like, do you know what they do? Like, do you know that they eat you from your asshole in?
Did you know that, Mark?
No.
Well, like your thighs.
say-
They go for the soft spots, like your
Okay.
thighs and all that, and they eat you that way, and then they leave you half eaten, and they play with you. And they'll stalk you. And then there was this one thing, and it said like if you're stranded and you're in a tree and you've got like one bullet, and it's you or the bear, you yourself.
Jesus.
And I told this to my patient that I did just met, and like as soon as I said that line, I paused.
And you were like, I've gone too far.
Yes.
Can you imagine going in and
I
seeing
need
this
to
like
leave.
this hot dental hygienist? Like you see her and you're
And
like,
his response, I think, was just like, "Wow, this is
Well, he
this
also
is information."
he's got like the scraper thing in his mouth. He's like, can I get
Yes,
some water?
and I'm like just going at it, like I'm
they
just
eat you
in
from
it,
the
in
ass
it.
up,
Yes,
scraping
She
his
hasn't
teeth.
given him the little vacuum thing in a minute, so he's just foaming at
Just
the mouth
foaming.
because of it.
yeah. He's like pointing at it. He's like,
He's choking.
Yeah.
She's like, listen, I'm getting to the best part.
"Yeah,
He's
I'm
out.
getting there. I'm gonna teach you what to do if you're alone.
Yes.
I'm gonna save your life right now."
One thing about Sam is she's going to give you a new phobia. Every
Yes.
time you see her, there's going to be a new thing that you're going to be scared of.
And then you
And
had to go
me.
into your boss's office and explain why there was a new Yelp review where somebody
And
was
that's
like,
where my mind instantly goes. It's
Yeah.
like, "Fuck,
But people like it. I think it's relatable.
yeah." I had one guy love it and related to me because of my other thing is like the guilt of like, or the fear of like your parents, you know?
Oh yeah, let's talk about that.
with the fear of your parents dying.
Yes. That's like my biggest
Wait, what
thing
is
right
what?
now.
What do you mean guilt by that? Like they're older
Like
than
guilt
you.
about like not being around and like
Oh,
missing
okay,
out and
okay.
like, and I had one patient that had just been going, like I think they lost a parent, but he suffers from that same form of anxiety of losing people and then like feeling guilt about it and missing out on time.
Yeah. That's a
But-
very common fear, especially for our age.
And he's
We're
the
hitting
only guy
age.
that like really understood it to the depth that I feel it.
Yeah.
And so sometimes that trauma dump leads to,
connection.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a fair fear is like that of like, you know, I don't know, like the certain times like you don't answer a parent's phone call and you're like, oh, damn, like what if
But
you
like,
know?
is that normal to be a thought? Because that would be mine. I would miss a phone call and be like, I'll call my dad back in 20 minutes. And then I'm like, what if this is the last 20 minutes?
Oh yeah.
I think you
Every
need to
time.
have
That's
a healthy.
the first thought that I have.
Listen, I think a healthy amount of fear in life is needed. It's needed to keep you on your toes, keep you thinking about what could go wrong, and then also too much is probably a problem, and maybe a therapist needs to be talked to about that. But like
No, we're doing that.
probably middle ground.
You're going to say that a lot in this conversation.
Okay.
Yeah,
You're going to be like, maybe I would seek help at that point.
It's a lot of things where we should have sought help.
Yeah, I feel like at some point we're just gonna have to get certified to be a therapist or something.
I
on
think
this
so.
podcast.
Well, I wanted to do that, like for a living, but then
I think I would do that if I changed careers.
You'd be incredible. I wanted to do that, and then I had somebody in my family who is a therapist tell me that I couldn't go into the field because if you're even remotely attractive, your patients will become obsessed with you, stalk you, and try to kill you.
You were like, ugh.
And I was like,
That's me?
Magnetic. Like, I am so fucking magnetic that someone is going to
Everyone's
become
gonna fall in
obsessed
love
with me and that they're going to try to murder me one day. So I had to do podcasting instead.
Do you think though, Anna, you'd be able to
No.
just hear some crazy shit and then just go on with your day? 'Cause
No.
I feel like you feel emotions so strong.
No, Mark,
I
I'd be
take
the
on
worst.
it. Yeah. We take on everyone's emotions. That's why I don't know if we'd be good at that.
Everything we want to do, we would be bad at.
Yeah.
If that makes
Sometimes
sense.
I'll feel your emotions like more so than you.
I'll
you
tell
know?
you what you feel before you feel them.
No, it gets like that. Like I'm like so upset over something for someone else. It's like, why aren't you this upset? Why am
We
I
should
more
probably
upset?
jump into why you turned out that way. That's a natural segue into what we're talking
Yeah.
about today.
Why'd
Yeah.
you turn out that way?
I don't
The
know.
people what do you mean? What do you know?
Oh,
You
I
don't
mean,
know.
that plays into it for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm naturally like this, but I think that's why you attract the people you attract.
That's very
Who
true.
do you attract?
One thing about Sam, she's going to date you if you're a narcissist.
Yes.
If you're a narcissist, Sam's like, give me more of that. Sign me
I'm
up.
Addicted.
Wait, Anna, pull up the definition of narcissist because I feel
Okay,
like people say the word
gladly.
narcissist all the time.
It's
and, like,
overused.
it's so overused.
It's overused now.
Oh,
but
I-
what we're talking about is like,
But like, let's get the actual. What's the Webster Dictionary definition?
Yeah, no, I wanted to talk about this today because you in particular have like actual diagnosed narcissistic personality disorder X's. And I feel like a lot of
it
people...
sounded like you were going to
Yeah,
say
say,
I
I
do.
was like,
I'm
damn.
like, wait,
no,
okay.
No, like therapists have diagnosed them. I have therapists having
Yes.
diagnosed one of mine for sure. No, one or two, whatever. And I get really annoyed when you've survived narcissistic abuse and then you hear other people say like he's such a narcissist. It's like, no, he's a douchebag.
Yes.
And he's an asshole or he's emotionally unavailable, and you cannot throw mental disorders around when you don't know what that actually is. It's harmful.
We'll get
I
into
feel
the
like.
definition real quick and then we'll unpack
So
it.
the definition is it's a mental health condition in which people have an unreasonably high sense of their own importance. They need and they seek too much attention and they want people to admire them. People with this disorder may lack the ability to understand or care about the feelings of others. And that sounds so vague. So I wanted to I got some characteristics of narcissists, and it's they ruin your relationships with other people. They think everyone is jealous of them. They don't care about your feelings. They care way too much about outer appearance and their image and their social status. They do not respect your relationship boundaries. They will always divert everything back to themselves, and they will never admit their mistakes. They're in a constant state of being the victim, inflated sense of self-importance. They're entitled. They're arrogant. They must be admired, and they're always envious of other people or believe that others are envious of them. It's a very confusing balance where it's like they think everybody's jealous of them, but they're so jealous of everybody else.
Yes.
Well, so okay.
So yeah, that's why it's so confusing, and that's why you get
Oh,
wrapped into it, and
yeah.
you can't make sense of it because it's very confusing.
Do we feel like things like that? Because okay, when we grew up, right? We're all in our 30s. When we grew up, when people talked about autism, right? They would be like, you're either autistic or you're not.
Mm-hmm.
Now we realize there's a spectrum,
Yes.
right? So do you think there's a spectrum for things like that too? Because
Yes.
I do think it's there's definitely times you can be like, okay, that person has narcissistic traits, but still does this and this that may not qualify as that, right? So it's like a spectrum of things. Like people could definitely be completely on one end, very narcissistic, and then I think people can have narcissistic qualities, and I guess there's in my mind varying levels.
I think everyone can show narcissistic tendencies. I think everybody can.
Yeah,
Totally.
But there is a spectrum, and there's different kinds, and sometimes they intertwine with other personality disorders.
Absolutely.
So I think
Fair.
that's where people get confused, and they will call everyone a narcissist, but it doesn't always apply. but it can be intertwined with other ones.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And being a narcissist does not mean that you're a bad person. Like, it's not synonymous. You could be
Yes.
a particular narcissist X diagnosed was actually very kind. Like, he was very nice to people. He did not mean to hurt people, but because of having such a horrible childhood, he was wired to be incredibly selfish and preserve his sense of self and do whatever it took to survive. And so he didn't learn to empathize and care for others because he was so preoccupied with keeping himself safe and taking care of himself. And selfishness can develop not just because you're a dick. I think that's so important to know. Like, selfishness and narcissism can develop because of
Sometimes
neglect.
being selfish is a good thing.
Yes, it can. But then if you like
Go
times
too
100, then you enter the spectrum of narcissism. So I thought it would be a good topic to
Do you
cover.
guys-
That's another point, though, and I think this is where some people get stuck with narcissism in relationships, is because it's something that people don't choose to be. That becomes an excuse to stay. So we can touch on that.
Because I feel like, okay, I was going to go right into that point. Because
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of times where somebody goes, my partner is like this, right? They have this, and they list out these like negative qualities, and they're like, but they're like this because they went through this. And I'm like,
Yes.
but does going through tough shit give you a pass to be a dickhead now?
No.
No. Like,
If you are doing that, you should be able to be self-aware enough that when you mess up or you do something hurtful, you're able to admit that and work on it and go get help for it.
Yeah.
And that's the difference with a narcissist. They don't see that they're a problem or that they even have a problem. That's like one of the main parts of narcissism, is that it's unidentifiable to them.
yeah.
So it's not something that you can be like, hey, Mark, you've got depression. And you're like, yeah, I sort of feel like that. No, narcissism, you can't say you're a narcissist, because part of the disorder is not being able to see that you might have a problem.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I think people just then go and make, because you hear all the time, it's one of my least favorite expressions I ever hear from people. Deep down, they're a nice person. Anytime somebody says that,
Yeah.
a little part of my soul dies, because I'm like, I remember I said to a friend once, she's talking about an ex-boyfriend, he was a terrible dude, like terrible dude. And she was like, but deep down, he really is a good guy. And I go, can we just unpack that for a minute? I was like, what does that statement mean? I was like, you and I have been friends for like a decade. I've always been really good to you. If all of a sudden I started to become an asshole, would you look at me and go, deep down, he's a nice guy? Or he once was a nice guy, now he's a dickhead?
Yeah. Like, was that the love bombing phase where he was a nice guy? Or a lot of the time it'll be, but he's a really nice guy. And then that's where you get into the trauma that person experienced.
Right.
He's a really nice guy, and when he was a kid, like this and that and this happened. Yeah.
Right.
Well, so it's so loaded because narcissists pick a certain victim. And I say victim versus partner because that is eventually what it is. They just they suck your soul out. They drain you of
Yes.
who you are to make themselves feel better. They pick a personality type that generally has low self-esteem. They generally are empaths. They're people pleasers. They may or may not have had childhood trauma. Who hasn't? Not so great sense of boundaries. Like, they'll give everything to other people. They'll show love. They'll give all of themselves. And then those empaths will hear this sad childhood story.
Yep.
Because they will often use that, because not only do they know that it is something that it's ammo. They can use that sad story to make them feel bad, but it's something that they can keep pulling from as an excuse, because the victim card is something you're going to hear over and over and over again in a relationship if you are with a narcissist. So I think it's like the people that they choose are the ones that want to apologize first. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. I think that they single out empaths, like you said.
Yeah.
I say that word. Strange.
Empaths.
Empaths. Yeah. How do I say it? But they single you out because they know that is their playing card. Mm-hmm. And they know that's where they start. So they play on, okay, I went through this. I had this happen to me. I'm, all of these sad things. And so that's where we're going to start with the excuse making. Mm-hmm. And anytime they make a mistake or they're hurtful, we're going to circle back to that and that's going to be the excuse for everything that they do. And then you start blaming yourself. Like, okay, they had this experience, so then maybe if I act more like this, maybe if I'm less reactive, you know, maybe they need their space and they need to go out by themselves because they didn't learn this as a kid and they didn't have the attention of this and all of these things. So then you try to change yourself, and that's what they want, is for you to be like, I'm the problem. Maybe if I'm more quiet, maybe if I'm less combative, maybe if I don't react to anything that they do, then they'll be happy, and then we'll be happy.
If I want
and
less.
So that is their way to make you silent. And then they're in complete control of you.
Do you think women are more susceptible to narcissists because of the fact that like they also have that like nurturing aspect because of like more like the motherly instincts, and so it's like,
and I think they go for women like that.
Yeah.
They look for that woman that's mothering, because we are the ones that want to help you, and like we want to save you, and we want to like help you be better. And usually it's people that have a very similar sort of self-esteem, because narcissists have low self-esteem, but they present themselves that they don't. So you're very similar. So you feel that empathy because it's a part of you. And you're almost like trying to heal them and you by healing them.
Absolutely.
Like if I can fix you, it also helps me feel better. But you're just never going to get there with them.
Well,
so you're constantly doing it, and you're actually doing the reverse for yourself. Yeah. But that's the thing, is like you're both in the same, so you feel for them. But the difference is that we care for them and want to like not mother them, I guess, but you know, be there for them.
Absolutely. And I've talked to a lot of women about other women that have had low self-esteem and been attracted to that personality type. And a commonality between that is when you have low self-esteem, you often crave being the game changer. And if you are the game changer, that means that you were so special, so amazing, that even that guy would be happy with you. And so if you're able to crack the code by wanting less, being more cool girl, you know, being more giving, being everything they could ever want all in one, then that means that you figured it out, you're special enough, and then your self-esteem will therefore be improved. It is impossible. It'll never happen.
No.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so here's my other thing. Do we think sometimes we try, because, okay, you hear like, what are some other, okay, we have obviously narcissists. What are some other like terms, boxes that we put people in?
I was going to say bipolar.
Sure. I mean, bipolar could be.
I feel like narcissist has been like the word forever. It's like people learned it and then described everyone as it. I don't think there's been anything else that's like in the DSM-5 that has been thrown around the way that narcissistic personality disorder has been.
100%.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes I wonder if we put people into boxes too much, and sometimes I'm just like, can we just categorize, like, if somebody's treating you poorly, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever they are, whether they're a narcissist, not a narcissist, whatever, just an asshole in general, like whatever we want to call them, like, fuck them regardless. You know what I mean? Like, I guess like that's how my brain goes to, is like, I guess like if you're just a shit person, I don't even need to figure out what box to put you in. Just like,
you're healthy though. A lot of victims need to pathologize because if they have a diagnosis, that means that there is no way that they could have healed them. So if someone is just a dick, maybe we can go to a couple therapy sessions, but by knowing that there is a diagnosis, knowing that there is, like I said, pathologizing some sort of disorder, you're incurable. You're incurable. Like I did everything I could. This is something, your neural pathways are crossing incorrectly. I can't do anything about it.
A narcissist is never going to give you closure on a relationship. And so having that is sort of like a closure.
It is.
And a way to let go of it and not want to like keep trying to save this person.
Do we think as a culture though, as like a society in general, we're too obsessed with trying to solve people and fix them?
Yeah, no, that's the problem.
Yeah.
But that's why it's like getting yourself out of this cycle of dating the people like this, because the more you do it, the more you're keeping that going.
Right. Because I look at it now and I've like told myself, because I feel like I've always kind of been like a fixer. Like I'll take somebody's problems and I want to solve them. And it's just like, I don't know. I feel like I grew up in such like a good environment and like a healthy family that I'm always like, well, let me just pay it forward and help people. Right. But now at 32 years old, I'm like, listen, I still want to help people and things like that, but there is a certain level of work that I expect you to have done at my age. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I expect you to still be an adult and understand your traumas, your flaws, your different things. And I expect you to be working on those things actively no matter what, as I'm doing the same with myself. And I feel like previously I was like, well, let me show them that like I can help them. And I'm like, listen, I want to help you, but also you have to want to help yourself.
Yeah.
And I now just shy away from people that I feel like don't even want to help themselves, because I feel like that's a large amount
That's
of
the
people.
key difference. And that's what I'm saying. Like, because you're never going to find someone who's perfect.
Right.
Or
That
who doesn't
exist.
have to work on themselves, or that doesn't have a flaw, or something about their personality that hurts you from time to time, right?
Totally.
Like, it's going to happen. And I think that's where people jump into saying like, oh, this guy's this. But at the same time, like, none of us are perfect all the time. And you could admit that. The thing is like the key difference here is this person's never going to admit that anything is wrong, and they're going to flip it on you and be like, no, this happened because you did this, and people believe it. And it's not just women, men deal with this too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, gaslighting, right? We're talking about. And that,
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, also just females. Like I feel like women are harder to identify as narcissists than men, and we can elaborate on why that is. But men are victims of the same abuse, or friendships. Women in friendships, female friendships. It happens to everyone and anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, just a lot of people are dicks. Like, the sooner we accept that, and just, again, it makes you appreciate the good people in your life. Like, that's, I guess, the way I look at it
But
now.
also, it's kind of like everyone's going to be a dick. From
At
time to
times.
time, everyone's going to be a dick.
But you got to take ownership.
So it's like, how do you
of that.
identify, like, this person's just being a dick today, or this person is.
Well,
like,
do they take ownership?
Really, yes.
And quickly. Like, we had last time Anna was
Can
up
you
here.
talk to them? Can they sit there and have a conversation?
Right.
And do they follow through with it?
Yeah.
Or do they take that and then use it against you later? Like, there's all of these different.
Weaponizing is big.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, the last time Anna was here, we were going to a lunch, and like, I had not had a morsel of food. It was probably like 1 p.m. I was in a pissy mood.
hangry.
And I was hangry as fuck. And I recognized that I get hangry. And so on the way to the restaurant, I like picked the dumbest argument. It was the dumbest argument. I mean, IQ level 6. And after lunch, I was like, hey, I was a dick. I was in a hangry mood, and I apologize. And it was like, you just take ownership of it. We're not perfect. Like, it happens. It is what it is. But just take ownership of it. And like, again, if you can recognize that, because I do. I mean, again, it's going to happen. Like, people are human. They're going to have times when they're in a mood, whatever. Maybe there's something that wasn't even involving you two, just something at work or something that happened to them while they were driving home. Somebody cut them off randomly, and now they're in a little bit of they have a little bit of attitude going. Like, shit's going to happen.
Or even someone's just going through a phase in life where they're
Yeah.
like a little lost and they can't prioritize somebody else over themselves. Like, that's normal.
Yeah. Well, emotional regulation is so hard for people, and it's something that people don't really learn until it's like too late. They've lost a relationship, or they've gotten fired, or they've gotten into trouble of some way, shape, or form, whatever. And so I just lost my train of thought.
You're good. You're good.
I'm like talking about self-regulating, and I'm just like, I feel like the self-awareness is what is the discerning thing when it comes to that.
And the people that just don't have self-awareness, like the people who refuse to admit that they are wrong, I'm like, I don't even care what box we put you in, whether it's narcissist, whatever it is. You just,
Or make everything about themselves.
yeah. It's like, just admit, take the L. I don't know.
Yeah.
Take the L like I had to do yesterday.
Yes, you did.
Yeah,
Oh my God,
that was
that felt
tough.
I was on top of the world.
That was tough.
You mentioned love bombing. Can you
Yes.
explain love bombing and how narcissists use it in relationships?
Yeah, so like one of the key differences, like when you first start dating someone, like things that I've struggled with after dating one, you go back and forth in your mind of like, what is genuine, what's too much, and what is what I should expect, right? Because you get this lecture from your girlfriends, like, you deserve this and that, and like, this is all the things. But if you're setting out for that, you can get like sucked into that trap of finding someone who does all of the things to an extreme. And what that is doing, it's setting you up for like, this can't fail because this person's like, just obsessed. and it puts you in this spot of everything is so good and you love it. And then when things get bad, it does a 180. Now you're like desperately trying to get back to where it was. So a lot of girls struggle with like, how do I identify somebody who is just giving me what I deserve versus is this love bombing? And a lot of the time it's like, if something feels good and then something feels like really good, which sounds bad, but if it's like, wow, that was like amazing. How did he think of this? Nobody does this. Kind of a red flag.
Well, give me
I was
like
about
an
to say,
action
give me
item.
examples.
Yeah, give me an action item for both of you, actually. I guess like a
what have you
time,
experienced?
like
Okay.
what is
like,
something that
from my experiences?
yeah, or just your experience, and then in general too. If you're like a guy does this, he's probably love bombing you.
Oh God, we got 10.
Oh
20.
God. Okay. So I would say if they're like, from my experience of love bombing, it's like showering you in compliments, sending gifts like left and right, things that you don't even think about. Like I dated a guy and he did this for years on end. Like the guy could love bomb the hell out of me for years, which made it seem even more sincere. That was the scary part and why I got stuck. But like, you know, your shoes are getting like a little old looking and like a new pair shows up. And then like same thing with like workout clothes, like new ones show up and they're sending you packages and flowers and your favorite energy drink in your cup holder and flowers on top of your car before you go to school. Like all of these things where it's just like this feels really good.
Is it thoughtful?
Or like friends, like a guy will send flowers to her and her friend that's there with her, you know, when they're at home. And it's like, that's a little much. And it sounds like, wow, this guy's amazing. But it's calculated.
Is it thoughtful or is it manipulative? I
Yeah.
feel
Well,
like
how do you
that's
discern between the two?
That's the hard part.
a lot of it?
Well, you said though a guy did that to you, right? So how did it
Yes.
go from? How did you go from this is just nice gestures, right, to like all of a sudden you're like, I'm being love bombed? Like
I didn't know I was being love bombed until 5 years after, when we finally broke up and I was able to look back on this. And it came to light that like I was dating someone who was a narcissist.
I think a lot of it is like if they can back up their word. So if they are giving you, if they're, you know, they are coming off really thoughtful and generous, but then they are doing other things that are making you question how in it they are. It's almost like they have one foot out the door, but then they're telling you that you're their future wife.
He was acting, you're my future wife. Like all of these things, buying you all the things, but then behind closed doors are doing these things, but you can't find it. That's another thing.
The cheating.
So sometimes you can, but sometimes you can't. So you have an idea of it, but you have no proof.
Well, what was it?
So
in your
then you're
experience?
like making mine. It's like cheating constantly.
Okay,
like
he cheated.
Serial cheating.
Oh, that guy cheated.
Wild, yes.
Oh, okay.
Wild. But I couldn't catch it. But I had this feeling, and you see like certain things, but then you're talking yourself out of it because you're like, he's so great to me though. Like he's treating me so
to marry
good.
me.
He gets me all these things, and I mentioned something, and 6 months later it shows up. Like he's so thoughtful. He writes me notes in my lunch every day. He packs me lunch for school, and how could he be doing that, but doing all these things behind my back? And of course, like no one wants to tell you. So like years go by, and then you finally hear it from people. Like when they get this sense that you're like on the outs. That's when people will come forward and be like, oh, no, yeah, like he was here with so-and-so and like this and that.
See, we've had
it's
this
like,
conversation.
it's like, are you
happened.
still dating that guy?
Yeah, but it's as soon as they think you're not together. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you save me from this?
See, I've been saying that shit.
That's
I
Mark.
get Anna knows. I scream from the rooftops that I feel like if there's something that you know that you feel like you would want to know if you were in the situation, I feel like you have the moral obligation to tell somebody. But also, you can get caught in the crosshairs of if you tell somebody who's not ready to receive that information, you end up somehow the asshole in that situation. I've learned that lesson
I feel
the hard
like
way.
most times now we want to receive the information, and we're
women are more
going to
receptive.
receive it.
One of the ways in which I have figured out, it's also your approach, but that's you know a conversation for another time. When I have been love bombed, it has been the introduction of marriage, the concept of like you are my future, you're my everything, within the
You're gonna
first
be
3
my
months.
wife.
So if they're talking about marriage, I understand that there's always going to be the exception versus the rule. There's going to be the exceptions where they knew the first week that they met that they were going to spend the rest of their
Yes.
lives together and they're incredibly happy and they're not narcissists. This is not
But
including
it's moving
that.
fast.
But
Yeah.
it's a
like,
person that meets you and they're just like
Move in
one
with
of
me
mine
immediately.
bought me a 3-carat diamond ring, an engagement ring, basically to wear as a promise ring until he graduated and could, do a proper proposal. That in hindsight was insane to do in a month. Every single boyfriend that I shouldn't have dated said they wanted to marry me within a month. And I feel like that is my worst ex-boyfriend texted me while I was on a job and he said, when you get back from this trip, be prepared to pick out rings. I can't wait any longer. And we had gone on maybe we had spent 6 dates together. We'd hung out 6 times. And I remember in that moment being like, wow, this person sees me as this once in a lifetime person. I can't be passed up. They want to put a ring on it. And it feels so good. And you want to believe that that you deserve someone losing their mind over you. It feels so good for someone to meet you and just be like, oh my God, like I'm that special. But the sad reality is it's not true. Authentic love takes time. It takes really knowing every aspect of some person, and narcissists never will want to know because it's all about them,
And sometimes you're like, I know that I'm great. So like, of course someone's going to fall in love with me in a week.
But that's where people...
But you've got to be more self-aware than that.
100%. And that's my thing. I literally was talking to a friend last week who I think is currently going through this situation. I don't give a flying fuck if she listens to this episode.
Sorry, sister.
Yeah, sorry. I whatever.
Oh, yeah.
It is what it is. No, I don't think you know this person. But the long story short, like I've said, I'm like, and it's something that is happening to her all the time, or that's happening to her right now. And I'm telling you, it's the biggest red flag anytime a guy does this. If a guy is calling you babe or baby within the first few weeks you know him, I'm telling you, run for the fucking hills. Like, I can't say that strong enough. Run, run, run. The dude's probably cheating. He's probably got 10 other yous walking around. Like, there is... Any dude who is saying babe or baby within a few weeks, run. There's so many red flags. I promise you. Maybe he's not cheating. He'll be doing something else. I promise you it's such a red flag. I've never met a normal dude in my life that ever has done that.
Why do you think men do that? Like as a man? Like,
because I think it's so they don't forget so they don't say another chick's name. Truly.
I feel like it's to let your guard down. I feel like it's like a
thought
girl
of that.
being like, if I call her baby, then she's definitely gonna
She's
sleep
going to
with me.
soften up.
I think it's both. I think it's both. I think for one, it is so that they straight up don't say another chick's name. I think that is 100% a thing. And then I think it's like, yeah, it's also a term of endearment. And so people look at it of like, wow, they're already calling me that. Like they already look at me as like so important to them.
Girls
and
love to
everything
be
like
warm
that.
and fuzzy.
Yeah, it's just like, dude, I'm telling you, it's just a red flag. Like I always think to I try to think to myself, if I was doing this to somebody else, would they think it's weird? And if the answer is yes, then I'm like, okay, then somebody doing it back to me is weird. You know what I mean? Like, if you wouldn't call that person babe or baby that quickly, then why are they saying it to you? If you wouldn't have said to that guy, Anna, like, hey, I really think we should go look at rings. Like, if you wouldn't say that to him, then it's probably too soon for him to be saying it to you. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
And I think that's where people need to like, sometimes I know we all, we meet somebody, the dates are going great and you're like, you're head over heels. I think I met my person. Sometimes you take a moment to breathe and just go like, hey, am I off in La La Land right now?
Yeah, you're like, oh my God, I laughed. I've never laughed so hard in my life. He buys me things. He's texts me good morning, good night, checks in on me during the day. And then you're like just lost.
Yeah. Oh,
you
God.
are vulnerable.
Yeah.
Do you find dating extra hard after having gone through breakups with those individuals? Because I feel like
because you experience the worst.
it.
And so anything that's like not that bad, then you're like, oh, well, I could deal with this because it's not as bad as that. Or you fear that it's going to get worse. Like I'm used to this being bad, and you get comfortable in it, and you learn how to ride the wave. Mm-hmm. So you get scared because it's like, I know how to ride this wave, and what if the next wave is a fucking tsunami? And I have to learn how to ride that one. Yeah. Instead of just being like, you don't have to though.
I mean, even like that, but then also like, is the courting stage of a person like
Yes.
that, very addicting. And then it's hard to discern healthy love, normal pace when you've experienced someone that's like all in on you. And then you almost get bored when there isn't that chaos.
You do. You get addicted to the chaos and you do get bored. I feel like the first person you date after being in a relationship like that, it's really hard to be receptive of normal love. And you almost push it away.
It feels foreign.
Yeah. And it's uncomfortable. It's odd because it is comfortable love, but it's so uncomfortable because you don't have that constant high and low.
I think people, like, I know it's super, super cliche, but I think to myself all the time, if one of my best friends was going through what I'm going through right now, what advice would I give them? And if it's like,
it's never the advice that I give myself.
Right. And it's like, but it's so important to take the advice that you would give your best friend in the same exact situation. And if you find yourself saying, but no, this is different because of this, stop it. Stop it.
Stop it right now.
Wait, let me look at the camera. Stop
Yeah.
it. Stop it.
It's so
Stop
true.
it.
We all do it.
You are not special, okay? I'm telling you.
We
This
never
is-
take our own advice.
Yeah.
Well, I think the one time that like you and I had a really good talk when I think it was like a few months ago or something. I don't really know the timeline, but I said to you, what advice would you give me right now if I was in your situation? And you just started laughing.
Yeah,
and you're
I
like,
didn't remember.
Conversation done.
Yeah.
Say no more. You're like, fair, shots, good, clear.
And to be fair, though, when that conversation that we had, which we cannot air out on this podcast,
course not,
but
of course not.
but it's like when we had that conversation, it hit home. I was like, yeah, damn, like you're right. Like I know what I would be saying to you, and I'd be a hypocrite to then not take your advice. And to be fair, since that conversation, I was like, at that moment, I was like, yep, cool, I'm done with it.
Oh,
And like,
snap of a finger,
Yeah, it
you
was
were
literally,
done.
it was literally like that. I just think every once in a while we need to put ourselves back into that situation of what advice would you give your friend if they're going through the exact same situation, and stop trying to say that you found the needle in the haystack or the one, the exception to the rule. Like the exception to the rule is a thing, but we're talking 1 out of 1,000, and everybody seems to think they're like 900 out of 1,000. It's like, no. Exception of the rule. Like the rule is still the most common thing.
Okay, so let's take a positive, hopeful turn on this. How do you begin to heal after dating someone that is a narcissist or toxic or mean or whatever, abusive, any label? How do you begin to heal? How do you begin to regain your sense of self? Do you know? How do you do it, Sam?
I'm honestly still working on this, and I don't
Yeah.
think that anyone quite has the answer. I think a lot of people go into other relationships hoping that will heal them, and it never does. It'll just bring up more things. But yeah, I think it's like just a constant finding those. I lost my words.
I feel like it's like, not to oversimplify it, and it's something you say, which I love, which is remembering who you are. You say,
Yes.
remember who the fuck you are.
Say it again, Anna.
Remember who the fuck you are.
I think it does help you like hold a different standard and be more aware. And I think that's like where it starts is you're just more aware dating. You have your eyes open. You tolerate a little less and less each time. I wouldn't say you experience it and then you're like never tolerating any of that again. You learn and you figure out your identifiers, you figure out yourself and your like pitfalls and how you kind of get yourself into these situations.
I think,
and then there's no one really to blame. You have to like stop that too of like blaming the narcissist because you're kind of blamed.
You allowed it
because you're there.
Yeah.
So you have to be self-aware and getting like help.
I think
talking to a therapist, figuring out why you like that, working on yourself in that way.
I think a lot of it stems back to confidence too, and we've talked about that. It's like the confidence of knowing that you should leave this situation. And so I tell people all the time, and I know it sounds so unbelievably random when I say this, but like if you come out of a situation, a bad relationship, a bad career, situation, maybe you just got fired from a job, like you're just going through it right now, and you've just gone through something tough, and your confidence is not where it should be. go do things outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Go to a bar on a Friday night and go do karaoke and sing in front of a bunch of strangers, maybe something that gives you a lot of anxiety, and just go and do it and see that you can do it and be okay. Go take like a drawing class. Go skydiving. Go do something that's like so outside your comfort zone. And then once you realize that you're okay and you did that, it's your confidence and your belief in yourself just goes up tenfold.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I can do this. And so once you have that confidence, then you're not going to tolerate as much bullshit. You're not going to tolerate as much. You're going to tell yourself afterwards, you know what? I went through something tough, but I'm going to get through it and I'm going to come out of this better, because you have the confidence to believe that you will.
Yeah.
And I think all of that stems from just, and I know it sounds like so, I don't know, cliche or whatever, to just tell somebody go do something outside your comfort zone. But think about, if you're listening to this right now, think about the last time that you've done something outside your comfort zone. It was probably a while ago. So then think about, if you want your confidence to go up, go do something that you really don't want to do and just go see how fine you'll be. You'll be fine. You'll crush it. And even if you don't do great, you go sing karaoke and everyone's like, this person sucks, you still did it and you had fun with it, and who cares?
The other thing is just keeping faith and positivity, that if someone exists, I always tell myself this, because I will give 120% of myself and like love people deeply. And if you exist, somebody like you exists, because we hear all of the negative. And that's another point, is that a lot of people only share negative or talk about the negative, and the positive is rarely highlighted, so we don't hear about it as much. So the dating pool and the dating scene, you hear like a lot of negative about it in today's atmosphere. And so you're afraid of it, so you stay where you're at because you're afraid of what you hear. Like, that's all that's out there, and no one's having luck, and everyone's in this situation, so this is just so common. Then you have to kind of pull back and realize that people only talk about the negative. It's like your friends in their relationships, you hear like the negative only.
Totally.
Rarely hear the positive. And then you're wondering, why are you with this guy? Because all they're sharing with you is the negative and the fights that they have and venting to you.
Well, it's like,
and they're
Reddit
never
culture.
telling you about like the great times they have together, which might be 80%, 90% of the time. So same thing with dating. It's like all we do is talk about the negative.
Well, it's the Reddit culture of like, my doctor has said to me, never Google the side effects of a drug on Reddit.
Because you'll be dying tomorrow.
Because it's a forum of all of the most negative things where that drug has saved people's lives. But if someone had a stomach ache, they're going to say, never take this thing, and the fear mongering. So I feel like that also
looking
applies.
At the common cold on WebMD.
It's politics. It's anything in life. You're only going to hear the negative because the negative gets the click.
Well, and because the positive is boring. You know, it's
exactly.
like if someone's talking about Valentine's Day and they had a great day, they're probably going to be like, yeah, hey, my partner took me out. We had a great time.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, okay, cool.
We want to hear that the
Yeah,
guy
I
slept
wanna
with
get
a stripper.
Yeah.
Yes.
He only got you Ghirardelli. He didn't get you some, some local,
Like artisanal cheese.
artisanal.
Cheeses
No,
and
I
breads.
had a boyfriend get me earrings once that were in a heart shape. They were like of that flat Tiffany heart shape.
Oh, cute.
And my friend was like, does he even know you at all? Because like you wouldn't even wear it, like not even highlighting that was like a thoughtful gift. It was just like, you would never wear those. He doesn't even know you, and that's like where we go. That's where people go. It's just always negative, and they share the negative, go towards the negative. So it's trying to be positive. Because if I think about all the couples around me, most of them are in great relationships.
And the great relationships are boring. Like, look on paper, boring, right?
But like all my really close friends are in relationships that are really good.
Right. Which is, well, by the way, you're rare.
I was about
Congrats
to say,
on that.
I
Yeah.
said miserable at the same time you said really good. And I was like, oh, what?
But are they miserable, or are they only telling you the miserable things?
Yeah, but if you're but it depends. If you're happy 90% of the time, but the 10% of a relationship is really bad, then like, okay, that 10% outweighs the 90 then.
Absolutely.
There's levels to it, right?
yes.
Like, how bad is that 10%? You know?
Yes.
Because you do hear oftentimes, like, somebody will be like, my boyfriend's great, but when he drinks whiskey, you just never know what version you're going to get. And I'm like,
That's really bad.
Yeah.
Okay, well then question for you. What do you think the ratio is for a good relationship? Like good to bad?
I don't think there is a percent, because it depends what he's doing in the bad. If he is hitting you, verbally
Yeah, it's
abusing
like he's
you,
great 90% of the time, but then he has a shot and he
punches you. Like, yeah. Like, obviously, you need to leave that situation. It's
Okay.
like, what
and then
is...
I'm like, look at the positivity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
not
like
what I'm saying.
It's like, again, what is the bad? Like, you have to
Yeah.
really categorize that. If he is making you feel like, or she, whoever, is making you feel terrible in that 10%, like, what are you doing? You know?
Yeah.
Again, I think that there's
Also be able to take responsibility for your feelings. That's a side note.
that too. Yeah.
You know,
I think
they could be not intentionally making you feel horrible.
Yeah, I think figuring out intent is always an important thing. Like, if somebody's not intending to hurt you, but they make a comment and it was just like, oh shit, like, you know, I didn't really mean it that way. Like, my bad. There's a difference between that and like the guy who's just being, or woman
Who like you put
who's
on an
just being
outfit
nasty.
and they're like, oh yeah, I just don't really think you look good in that.
Yeah, there's a difference.
Or like, yeah, I just don't really like want to kiss you. Like, that's kind of gross.
Oh, that's
Oh.
what? Wait, what are we putting that comment in? That's very mean.
Yeah, that's very
no.
mean.
Oh,
Guys
okay.
do that.
Oh, that's very mean.
No, that's super mean. That's
Yeah.
abusive.
Yeah.
In my
Yeah,
opinion,
yes.
that's abusive. I think
But we've
like,
heard that from friends of ours. Like, girls date guys that just are like, ugh.
Which is crazy to me because, like, to be fair, if somebody asks my opinion, if, like, you show me an outfit and you're like, hey, do you like this a lot? You want my honest opinion? I will give you my honest opinion. If you throw on a fit and you're not asking me I'm just going to gas you up.
I think that's proper. I think if you don't
Yeah.
ask for their feedback,
Yeah.
shut up.
Yeah. And if you are going to give, let's say she puts on a fit, she's like, what do you think? And you're truly not a fan of it. And, like, maybe objectively it's just a bad fit. Just maybe go, hey, you know what? What about that item? You know, maybe give her like a
Yes.
positive spin on it.
Yes.
Like, you know,
What if
hey,
you try to top that has a different neckline?
right. Well, I don't know if a guy's going to, I don't know if our brains work like that.
Mine does. My boyfriend would be like, let's try a
would.
V. Can I
Force
tell my
is
foot
unicorn.
story, please? Can I tell my
Yes,
foot
because
story?
I'm gonna miss my flight.
Oh,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Should we leave?
Tell your
Okay,
foot story.
my
we'll
flight
wrap up.
boards in an hour.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine then.
Am I?
Are you, what do you mean looking at me?
I don't know.
You live 20 minutes away?
Yeah. Well, tell your foot story. I'll look up LAX
Okay.
while we're doing this.
Motherfucker. Okay. No, Mark, you have to hear this.
Do you have TSA pre-check?
No.
Oh my God. Do you have a check bag?
No,
You're fine.
you're more than fine.
You're fine.
Okay, really quick. So one of my narcissists that I dated,
One of my.
one of them. I've dated, I think, 3. So I was laying down in bed and I had, my feet out. It was summer, and he looks over at my feet and he goes, "So your feet look like that?" And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "Can you wear socks around me from here on out?"
Oh God.
Just no
And-
length in the toes.
Oh no, I have a short toe. Yes,
So do
I will.
I.
I will say my
So do I.
my pinky toe didn't quite develop. And he goes, "Well, can we look into toe lengthening surgery?" And a normal person, I will say, a normal person would say, "No, you're fucking weird. I'm out." But I said, "Yeah, let's look it up." So I look into it. That's a thing. You can lengthen any part of your body if you want to.
Any.
In 2025, you can lengthen any part. Well,
Can't imagine
that's
dating a guy.
Really?
Really? Like,
That's
I'm
another
gonna
topic.
Elongate my toes for you.
So that I would have. That is the type of person that I used to be. And so then he was like, if we're going to last, we're going to have to bring in a third girl so that I can look at her feet when we have sex.
He would have loved my web toe.
Would he?
That's also extreme.
No.
I find a third for a threesome and it's just you with
Yeah.
your toes. And he's like,
He
ah!
just runs out screaming.
He's
Wait,
like,
you have what?
A web toe.
Like truly?
Yes.
Can I?
No.
Okay.
What do you mean? You're going to show it to him?
You're not gonna show
No.
me? How are you
No.
gonna just drop that comment and not show
No.
me?
Feet are not coming out.
Oh yeah, you're nosy. You don't need to know everything.
She's
I sent Mark a screenshot and he's like, what's the
I'll send you a
first part of
photo
that
later.
conversation
I'll send you a
say?
photo.
Well, the
later.
first part of the conversation looks spicy.
You're like, what's the first part
I'll
of the
send you
conversation?
feet pics later.
okay.
Yeah. Venmo me.
I'm on
Yeah.
it.
Anyways, Sam has to get on a flight.
Okay. Yeah.
Damn it.
I know. We didn't even touch on like a lot of subjects.
Well, that just means you have to come back.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
God.
Also, I've known Anna for 8 years. This is our first time meeting. Should we blame Anna for that?
Yes.
Absolutely. Sam, okay, 2 of my favorite human beings. This is like almost, I feel like I've been out of my body disassociated because this is so weird to me.
Same.
It's
Yeah,
been so
same.
weird to me. And I just want to say that Sam is, without a doubt, the best person on this planet. There
Aw.
is no one better.
Thank you.
And I would say
Wow.
that. No, I'm sorry, Mark. But there is
She's
no
love
one.
bombing me.
No, I've known you
I'm
for
kidding, I'm
I've known you
kidding.
for fucking
I'm
27
kidding.
years. There is no one better on this planet. End of story. So if you're listening to
Aw.
this, like, I just love you. I
Thank
just love you
you.
so
I
much.
love you
I know
too.
everything about you, and there's
do.
no one better on this planet.
You know, it's crazy. I was gonna just like drop like a random celebrity who's like a really,
Arguably Anna, though.
really good human, sure. Who's a really good human, and I was like, God, I can't. We've like every celebrity's been canceled at this point,
Yeah.
so I was like, I can't name one.
Oh,
that, like,
Keanu
But don't get
Reeves.
canceled.
oh, Keanu Reeves, yeah.
People love
Keanu
Keanu
Reeves.
Reeves.
Oh, God, love
People
him.
love
So,
Keanu
so what's the
Reeves.
tier then? Sam, Keanu Reeves.
I haven't met him, so once I know him for 27 years, I'll weigh in. But for now, Sam's my number one person.
Damn. Okay.
And if you ever hurt her, I will find you. And then insert like the taken
Why
speech.
did you look at me like that?
If anyone
know.
hurts her,
He
I
was
know
like-
you're.
Yeah, why
I
are
don't
you
know. You're the
looking at
man.
me?
I don't know. I gender blamed you.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you ever hurt her, I will find you, and I have a certain set of skills. Whatever. Liam Neeson speech.
You know they have Taken 3, by the way. Side note.
They need to stop making them.
No.
Why are people? Still
Why
being
does his
taken?
family just keep getting taken?
They're prime targets.
know.
They've
Like-
proven he can find you.
Well, and also, but also skill issue. Like his job is to like protect, you know, these like, presidents of other countries and things like that. But you can't protect your own family. Like, come on, bro. How good are you? Are you at your job?
That's so true.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
so
if you're
true.
good enough to find him, why were they
did they
taken
get
in the first
Why
place?
did
Yeah.
they get lost? Not to victim blame, but yes.
No, but I'm not victim.
3 times.
We're not victim blaming
3
his family. We're
times.
blaming him.
I love the trailer of like, and someone was taken again.
He's like,
And Liam Neeson's like,
I'm
gonna fix it.
I have a special set of skills. I will find you.
That
and
make me a nightmare for people like you.
and
Okay,
Sam's
I need to
gonna-
get you to your flight.
Sam's going to use her web toes to
To just
climb
No,
a building
and my,
scale
and my
a building.
sweaty hands to slide out of any situation.
Are you
Oh.
Spider Woman?
No, but
No,
like
she
try
would
to get me in like a hand lock, I'll slip right out of
Ooh.
that.
ooh, that's sick.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Are you?
Slip.
You could be called lube woman.
Oh God!
No,
What the
or like wet woman.
What the
Oh,
fuck? Wet lube woman.
oh my God.
I'll put that in the Spotify
The
bio.
I
no
love
grip
that.
woman. I don't know, slippy grip.
Welcome
Ooh,
to Let's-
slippy grip.
Ooh, slippy. Oh.
Welcome to Let's Stay In Podcast. Today's guest is Lube Woman.
Is slippy grip.
Slippy grip.
Slippy grip.
Slippy grip
Sloppy
is
Sam.
Sloppy Sam. Slippery Sam.
Oh man.
steamy, slippery Sam. God, this is tough.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Okay. This is where we close out. I take you to the
right.
airport. I have to pee,
Yes.
and we need to have you back on. There's so much more to cover.
Happy to come back.
Yeah, well, we spent the first 20 minutes talking about pooping, so that
I know.
there's that.
The people need to know.
Yeah. So, anywho, Sam poops and has web toes and steamy feet
And she has
hands.
a sweaty butt. Anyways. Love you
I love
guys.
it.
And if you're looking for a dental hygienist in
Yeah.
Scottsdale,
Oh my
Arizona,
God.
The best
Yes.
in the business. The best. Okay. We have to end. We have to end this
All right,
now.
see you guys.
Okay,
Bye.
love you, bye.
Bye.